Good good evening, folks. June 25th, 2025. I'm going to do a deeper video. Um, I think I'll say first, because I never say this, but like and subscribe. And I'm going to do this video in honor of a trucker, a female trucker, and her husband. And sometimes when haven't had the liquid funds to keep my phone on, I've asked her to help me out, and her husband's on board with her. They've been subscribers for a few years, and I'll ask for some money to keep my phone on, and she'll send it to me through Cash App before, like within 10 seconds. And today I didn't need as much. I had an Army veteran who's not rolling in dough, but he sent me the majority of the money to keep my phone on, but I was still short about $20. And so I hated to call the trucker lady, and she's under stress. She helps out a lot of people, but there's certain people I can count on if I want to keep my phone on, and it's happened several times. She's been there for me, and it's kind of hard to describe, when you kind of have my background. You've been rich and poor, but when your phone goes off, you're kind of out of it, especially right now. And so I'm dedicating this video to her. But I guess like and subscribe. And she uses Cash App to donate because about 3 years ago, YouTube demonetized me. I'm still not monetized on YouTube, you notice, so there's no ads. But that was kind of my way to stay on YouTube. PayPal wiped me, went away, and all those payment things just cut me out. So I do the videos for free now, but I was talking to another Patriot lady who's very bright, does a lot of stuff, and she's not swimming in it either. A lot of really great Patriot people, it's been a financial sacrifice to do this. And I'm using British understatement. Sorry to quote the Brits, but it's true. There's really good people in Britain, but Britain is just England. They've got probably worse migrant problems than we'd have. And they don't have somebody like Tom Homan or Trump to kind of defend their country as valiantly as Trump and Homan and all the other people in leadership positions. And from what I understand, Trump's only got about a third of his true leadership in position. And so what he's done in the last 150 days is magnificent. So I'm just going to say it up front. If you feel like donating, the only way is Cash App. And I should pay back the trucker lady some money. She won't ask me before, but I think I should pay her back some money. I know I should. But haven't got a check yet. Oh, video from somebody. But this lady, this is in honor of her and her wonderful husband. And that's why, I've sold silver and stuff to keep going. But at this point, I really don't want to sell any silver because I like to be able to restart with Tesla Energy and, the 6,000 patents. And it's going to be a fun world after the evil is put in check so they can actually be free. Like I just did a short with Milton Friedman about free to choose. If we have a true free economy that's constitutional, it just unleashes the power of entrepreneurship. But so the Cash App is $brentjlong. I'll put it under this video. And if you feel like donating seriously, actually I'm not going to tell the trucker lady because she helped out, but I'm still $5 short for my phone bill, but it's not cut off yet. And so I'll run down somewhere and put $5 into Cash App and maybe $6 because they take a percentage and keep it going. So let's go deep in honor of her and my son. And I'm grateful to everybody that listens to what I say because that's why I named myself Man of Truth. I've been telling the truth on YouTube for over 17 years. Message from David. Thanks, David. And it's led to me being friends and acquaintances with some very interesting people and very powerful patriots. And I'm very grateful for that. I never expected this. I thought when Obama was in, it's like over. I just like, okay. And people they were all excited that they voted for a community organizer, Obama. And I wasn't because I knew he was, communist leaning. It gets pretty deep. Martin Luther King was trained at communist camps in Cuba, BTW. I know people freak out, but they just don't know that. But it's starting to come out. And the more that comes out, then you can look and see, do you want to be free to choose? Or do you want to live under this illusion that you're free to choose, but you're taxed to death? And, you work till you're 65. And I've studied statistics. A lot of people, when they get 65, they get retirement, maybe 70. They live for 3.5 years. They work their whole life on the treadmill. And then they got 3.5 years and then they die. Pretty brutal. I didn't take that. I kind of dropped out of society after I went to Harvard Business School because I realized how corrupt it was. I knew about the conspiracy before, but when I saw it in action at Harvard and studying in the halls of the bankers and having CFR people come and teach us and a CFR professor, Council on Foreign Relations, I used to read that because Chatham House, this was, I think, started by David Rockefeller. And it's globalism. Some people call it globalista. But, I like to keep things because there's going to be a history to tell about all this. Like, here's a classic book in economics by Adam Smith. And if, it's like Trump's dealing with tariffs now. He's just trying to have it be a level playing field. But the more you understand about economics, it hasn't been a level playing field. And President Trump is bringing back that level playing field where it's a fair playing field. They're not dumping pig iron and wiping out, our steel industry like they did, or our auto industry like they did, or our washing machine industry like they did, or our TV industry like they did. So we're in a huge transition point where we're going back to freedom. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got here. We, broke away from the Brits and, frankly, the Catholic Church. People wanted the freedom economically and to worship what they wanted. They didn't want to be put to death by crusaders because they were naturopaths or they believed, they didn't follow exactly what El Papa had coming out of Rome. And so I know most of my best friends are Catholics because there's a lot of Catholics. There's 1 billion on the planet. But let's talk about, I'm talking about the big picture now because July 4th kicks off a year-long celebration of the 250th anniversary. It'll be 2026 of our constitutional republic. Not a democracy, a constitutional republic. So I think one of my main mentors in the Constitution, because I took civics. I mean, things have going to public school in the 70s is a lot different than going now or even 20 years ago. I remember when I was a little boy, you'd go to school, put your hand on your heart, the whole class, all 30 kids in the class, every single morning. And you would say, you'd look at the flag and say, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every school day. Every school day. And so it's in you. And you took pride as a little kid, whether you're 7 or 10 or whatever, every school day. And then when my dad passed away in California, he was substitute teaching in California, and he was prohibited from saying Merry Christmas in a public school in California. And my dad rebelled by saying, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. So California became socialized and basically communist. Look at the mayor of Los Angeles, communist. And then with this new guy in New York that the Democrats are putting forward to be, mayor of New York City, it just, you have a choice. Do you want to be free to choose, or are you going to choose communism? And there's 10 planks to the Communist Manifesto. But there's people behind that. There's people that funded Karl Marx, okay? And Lenin was funded to go over and kill the Romanov family. Funded where? Out of New York City. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that because as we go forward and people try to understand what happened to our country, how did we get so off the rails? Well, this is Cleon Skousen wrote a book that became a New York Times bestseller in I think the late 50s, 60s, called The Naked Communist, which talked about what communism really is. And communism is some super elite people at the top, and then everybody's a worker. You work, work, work. But, there's a movie that I didn't watch until just the General. I subscribed to him on in General McInerney is tied into him. I subscribed to the General on Telegram, and other people subscribe to him on Twitter, now known as X. Anyway, I get so many messages. Penguin 6 premiere hot day in DC. He's really good. I like to watch him. Okay, so back to the big picture. We're going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country for a year. I mean, I didn't swear a lot when I said, but I have to admit, one of my favorite things that's happened in the last 48 hours is Trump dropping the F-bomb. God bless him. What a dedicated man to freedom. He's dedicated to free to choose. Donald Trump knows who Milton Friedman is. Donald Trump believes in freedom, and it's amazing he's lived such an incredible life and a healthy life to be able to do what he's doing at he's 79 years old blows my mind. I found a picture of me playing golf at Pebble Beach. I even if I was invited to play golf with Trump, I wouldn't because he'd have to give me 30 strokes. I wouldn't lie like Biden. It's just Trump would kill me. He's like, did you see that hole-in-one he made a couple years ago? I think God was involved in that. Okay, well, it's already 12:40. So this book is about a book called Tragedy and Hope. I'm just going to read a little bit of the first part of it. The Naked Capitalist, a review and commentary on Dr. Carol Quigley's book, Tragedy and Hope, a history of the world in our time, reviewed by W. Cleon Skousen. And I was honored to have Cleon sign my book, To Brent Long, Best Wishes, W. Cleon Skousen. But he got me into the Constitution, and this was fascinating. It was hard to find, still kind of a hard to find book. But look at this. Dr. Carol Quigley's book, Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time, was published by the Macmillan Company, New York, first printing 1966, 1250. Dr. Quigley is currently professor of history at the Foreign Service School of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. He formerly taught at Harvard and Princeton and has done special research in the archives of France, Italy, and England. Now, this part, look at the first chapter, Who is Trying to Take Over the World? This is a great book to understand what's been happening for the last 150 years. So I'm going to read this part right here. And I know some of the Skousen family, and I think they're going to be fine with me reading this. Why? Why do some of the richest people in the world support communism and socialism? Why would they support what appears to be the pathway to their own destruction? Dr. Carol Quigley of Harvard, Princeton, and Georgetown Universities states that he has been associated with many of these dynastic families of the super rich. He therefore writes as an authority on the world's secret power structure. His answers to the above questions may astonish you. Now, people find out about this at different times. Some people have just found out in the last 4 or 5 years. For me, I found out when I was about 26 or 27. Let's see, and I'm 60. I can't believe it. I'm going to be 70 next year. Can you believe? Wow. At least I got some hair, but it's okay. Bald guys are cool too. But I've known about it forever, and I kind of thought, well, the Constitution's shredded. We got Obama in, and I also knew that George Herbert Walker Bush wasn't really any better than Obama. Neither was like little tiny Bush, and neither was my old state president at Harvard, um, Mitt Romney. So there are super rich globalistas that want to control things, and the best way to control is to infiltrate a country that's actually free, which we've never been totally free because the British are always trying to wipe things out. In the Civil War, things kind of went really south in 1871. Okay, we became a corporation. And I believe President Trump's trying to get us back to what the founding fathers envisioned, which is a country that's free. And the founding fathers studied they studied, Bastiat. They read writings, and they came up with an incredible thing, the U.S. Constitution. But first they had the Declaration of Independence, and British people thought we're just going to kill those stupid, colonists over there. But God was with the people back, the pilgrims, and he made promises to the pilgrims. And look what's happened to this country. Look at the military. Look at those B-2 bombers. Those aren't wimpy. And for Communist News Network, CNN, to cut them down, I love the way Trump puts it. They probably only have 400,000 people watching this stupid channel. And some of us have figured out that that was disinformation a long time ago. Even Fox News had a lot of disinformation, but I think we've snuck some good guys into Fox News. But remember Mike Wallace's son? Remember he was on Fox News? Muy malo, no bueno. So the naked capitalist, and this is another, I showed this in another thing, books on conspiracy. It's important to study that because there was a conspiracy by the super rich to subjugate our country and have a new world order. Started with the League of Nations, and then it went to 1717. I missed it. And then it went to that failed. So then they came out with the United Nations, and that ties in a lot of things. The United Nations basically is an organization to kind of control the world, supposedly for peace. But like this one here, it's a man-made war of Vietnam. President John F. Kennedy wanted to get us out of Vietnam. Johnson wanted to keep us in. They took all the guns and butter. But why would we go fight communism halfway around the world when we had it in our own backyard in Cuba? That's a good question to ask yourself. So it's important to reflect as what things that are going on, like the two flags, 88 feet tall. I hear they got 54 stars on it. It's like Trump has had the military parade, planted the flags, and it's victory. And I think if people really understood the deep down thing, I'm just a civilian, and I have a lot of respect for everybody that's been in this fight. But a lot of good things have happened that have been behind the scenes people don't know about. But we're going to have a chance to have a lot more freedom in this country. It's going to take a while to clear out people that believe in communism and believe in socialism, which is basically you take money from people that are working, like a single mom. You take her money through taxation, which is unconstitutional, a direct tax on income, and you give it to some guy that wants to drink beer on the couch and not work. That's socialism. You take from the producers and give it to the non-producers. That's wrong. That's not free to choose. That's the government stealing from productive people and giving to unproductive people. Doesn't work. It's failed, and I think we're going to see the fail of the Federal Reserve System. It's already failed, but a lot of people don't get that yet. But we're going to see this transition to a complete world of freedom, led by the United States, led by President Donald John Trump, who was invited to run for president by 200 generals. And if you listen to the right people on the internet, you can learn a heck of a lot, or you can read old-time books. I've got one there. I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I will. God bless America. Frankly, I'm very grateful for President Trump and his wife. who was a Romanov. So like in the Rolling Stones song, which Mick made a covenant with Satan, by the way. Listen to Sympathy for the Devil, one of my favorite songs because of the beat. Listen to the words about killing the Romanov family. Who killed the Kennedys? It's something else. Anyway, I'm grateful to be alive right now. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.